Over the past few years, I think I've finally figured out the keys to keeping most houseplants happy. If you're thinking about buying your first indoor plant or have had weak, frail looking plants for a while, here are my biggest tips on how to keep your houseplants healthy and happy. The one thing that will kill your houseplants faster than anything else is giving them too much water. Plants need both water and oxygen, and they can actually suffocate if too much water cuts off their air supply. Additionally, plants are prone to root rot from fungi, and this root rot becomes a lot more likely if your plants are constantly sitting in damp soil. As a first step, we want to make sure that we generally lean towards underwatering a plant rather than overwatering it. Most plants can tolerate being too dry for a while, and they'll bounce right back once they're watered properly. On the other hand, overwatering is much harder for a plant to recover from once that root rot sets in. I like to compare underwatering a plant to giving a pet slightly too little food. They'll lose a bit of weight, whine to you, but bounce right back once they get what they need. A number of my plants get all wilty on me when they haven't been watered for a while, but they spring back to life within hours after being watered again. Personally, I go at least 2 weeks between waterings for all of my indoor house plants. Besides these orchids, I water my plants even less frequently during the winter. That schedule generally works for me and my house and its light and temperature conditions, so you might have to figure out a cadence that works for your space. Especially when you've bought a new plant and you haven't quite figured out what its watering schedule is yet, you can be 100% certain whether it's okay to water it by sticking your finger about an inch deep into its soil. If you can still feel moisture, I would hold off on watering that plant. I also keep a note on my phone where I record the last time I watered every single one of my houseplants. Once your plant collection really starts growing, you'll need some sort of record keeping to ensure that you don't overwater. Lastly, try and keep your plants in pots with drainage holes. This isn't a 100% necessity, but it really does help ensure that overwatering doesn't occur. These clay pots have a hole at the bottom that lets any excess water drain out, and there are also other pots you can buy on Amazon that help with drainage as well. No matter how well you treat some plants after purchase, they'll just always struggle. Some will just straight up die after a few months, while others will hang around for years, but constantly look frail, wilty, and drop a ton of leaves. This is often because big box stores place way too many plants into a single pot, or in some situations even tie the roots of individual plants together in the same pot. This root tying is especially common for plants like money trees, where stores will stick 5, 6 individual trees together into a single pot, make them wrap around each other, and also tie their roots together underground with rubber bands. I personally encountered this myself with a money tree that I bought that began to suffer from falling leaves, yellow leaves, and even mushy trunks. After separating the trees and freeing them from the rubber bands hidden underground, I was able to save 3 of them, and they are now thriving with adequate space. Now, most plants don't have their roots actually tied together, but I do find that stores frequently place way too many plants into a single container. I've seen this often with basil plants, monsteras, palm ferns, and many other varieties. These stores want to create a big, bushy look that looks attractive to customers, but quickly leads to too much competition within a single pot in the long term. If you do buy one of these overcrowded pots, I'd highly suggest that you try and repot the plant into separate pots so that you allow each individual plant enough space to breathe. If you're too lazy or suspect that each individual plant might already have its roots too intertwined with other plants in the pot, don't buy the plant at all. Before you buy any plant, you should have a good idea of where in your home you plan on placing it. This can really affect the temperature and light conditions that it gets on a daily basis. Once you have a spot in mind, you then should research 4 different qualities of the plant before committing to it. One is the light requirements, 2 is the water requirements, 3 is the soil requirements, and 4 is how pet friendly is the plant. In terms of light requirements, there are many plants that require 8+ hours of bright sunlight a day, and so if the spot that you have in mind is pretty dark, it's probably not going to work out and you probably shouldn't buy that plant. In terms of water requirements, there are quite a few number of plants that surprisingly need to be watered even once every 2 or 3 days. And so if you don't really have that time on your hands, or if you don't really want to think about it that frequently, you should probably reconsider buying the plant as well. In terms of soil, there are a number of plants that are pretty particular about what they live in. This includes very popular houseplants like orchids, but also includes more exotic plants like Venus flytraps. If you really want to stick with your standard Miracle-Gro potting mix, then you should be aware if a plant isn't a good match in terms of this quality. The final thing I have to say here is that there are a number of pretty popular houseplants that are actually toxic to dogs and cats. This list includes plants like monsteras, Ficus elastica, as well as the birds of paradise. So it's unfortunate, but as pretty as they might be, you definitely don't want a houseplant that you bring home jeopardizing the health of your pets. So those are my 3 tips on how to keep your houseplants alive. Don't overwater your plants, make sure your plants are set up for success within their pots, and research your plant before buying it to make sure that it's a good fit for your home. Let me know your thoughts, let me know how the tips work out for you, and I'll see you next time.